Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all that it gives us and what we hope it gives you. We're on episode 97 today, and we are coming to you on this great April? Mm-hmm. Yeah. For some reason, I was about to say August, and I don't know why. It was just
A words.
Yeah. April. And with April being Stitch Away Stress Month, we have been trying to do just that, and we are trying to inspire you to be able to kind of capitalize on this as well, kind of, really think about what we're going to be doing this month to kind of what is going to be the best way to use our hobbies to help aid us in our mental health journey and allow us some time to kind of reflect, get some peace, see how what we love to do is actually feeding us in the way that it is meant to, instead of just being a chore. So we are excited to share with you what we have today and what we're working on, and just,
It's all good. So I was able to finish another baby blanket for Project Linus. And this one is colorful. I had two colors. One was a variegated, two different variegateds I ended up using. And the other one was red. And so it is 36 by 36, and this is how it turned out. It's just a colorful blend of greens and oranges and blues and yellows, and all paired with red. And I just think it turned out really nice. Whoever gets it is going to be able to see it. I mean, you can lay it down on the floor and let them play, or cover them with it, but any baby's going to be able to see this.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice primary colors, and I just thought, pairing those together was fun. I'm working on a little pink and purple one now, and when I get that one done, I think I'll take them to Joann's and let them go into the box, and I'll have one for potentially a little boy and one for potentially a little girl. Either way, whatever. So, and or two little girls or two little boys, it doesn't matter. Just however it works out. And so I'm finding these baby blankets so enjoyable. I have my little 36-inch
measuring chain.
Yeah, measuring device. And I found out if I go all the way to the end of that with my first chain, it's too long. I had to cut it back about that far.
Because it has give.
Yeah, and then I figured out where to do the chain. I put a safety pin in there, and then I only go to that now, and then by the next row or the row after that, I measure it again, and it's exactly the length it needs to be. I don't know how it works, but it does.
Foundation chains have much more give.
Yeah, so I was like, because that first couple of times I was trying that out, it was like,
it's not working. It's
way too long, So now I've figured it out, and so I've even got it even more honed in with the safety pin where I need the chain to go to, and then it measures out to the exact right place, and then sorry, my asthma's still kicked up. And then when I can use it as I'm doing each row to figure out how much longer I need to go. And so I'm really finding that a nice way to do it. and these baby blankets, they don't take long. They use up all your scraps. You can use 2 together. Now, I did 2 together with this one. I'm only using 1 at a time on the one I'm working on right now. It's different for me, but I'm enjoying that too. Now I'm having to change colors as I go because I'm like, well, I'm kind of done with this color. Let me figure out another color to use and all that kind of stuff because I don't have the marled look like I do when I use 2 strands. But it's still fun and I really enjoy it, and you know, it's stitching away my stress. So
it's giving you something to do that's within your capacity. That's
right.
You know, because you've been having these asthma flare-ups, so it's a smaller blanket. You're stable to feel like you're doing something while you're watching TV.
And just so you know, I know that with the cough and everything, you're thinking, oh, she's going to give it to a baby. That's going to be bad.
Asthma.
I'm going to be washing these blankets before I take them.
Well,
I'll wash them and
yeah, and they have their own, I'm sure, sanitation process to be able for.
But I just feel like for my own
conscious
thought process, without being so that my mental health stays sane, and I feel like I'm doing it the right way, I'm gonna wash it. We use like Tide Free or whatever. We don't use any chemicals. How do I say? Not chemicals. It's
a
free of-
scent and perfume free.
Yes.
A dye free, perfume free,
Yes.
Laundry detergent
and
So
dryer sheet.
So it's very safe and very versatile for any skin. It gets clean without any of the dyes and perfumes.
And
so
they
that
don't want
there's
that
no-
anyway for any of the blankets. So.
Yeah, well, just starting right off, you know, if these are going to babies or just even children in general, we don't always know their sensitivities, and it's always better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point is for these to be like a comfort and a hug, don't need there to be any more issues.
Yes. So, just to let you know that's what I will be doing. So what are you up to?
Well, this week I was really adamant, like in my head, about creating little crafts to be able to show you guys things that we can do to be able to kind of have fun little things and gadgets, or just little kebabs that we can make for ourselves as a thing to do. But when I was thinking about doing it, I really realized that for me, I still want to do it. I still will do it likely before the end of the month and share those ideas with you. That way there's kind of maybe some things that you guys can do with us. But just this time, as it stands right now, I don't have anything. But I realized how much I just want to kind of get some of the projects that I do have done, and that is what's on my heart to get done, and my need to feel like I've gotten that accomplished, so that mental weight is off. And I realized 2 very specific things. First, I don't like the jacket for the Baby Yoda.
All that work.
I like everything but the cuff.
Yeah.
This one, this section, the collar. So I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to just take the time to do it. I'm not even going to look at the pattern. I'm going to find a way to make it done my way.
Yep.
Just get it done, so I don't feel like I half-heartedly got it done. I want this gift to be good, and therefore I want to feel like I've done it correctly. The pattern is a very decent pattern. It's not that it's not, but using any sort of textured yarn and the way that it wanted me to do to make the fur looking collar is very hard to do, and I wasn't able to see my stitches. So I guessed, and it was my first run doing it. I knew that I didn't like it. I might as well have gone back and done it then, but I wanted to get the body done, and you know, the body turned out really nice.
Yes, it did.
So I am not going to feel bad about that, and the jacket's easily redonable. So I'm already made that decision that I will just take the time to do it. It'll make me feel better. Might as well just do it. So this week while me and my husband have been watching a lot of Star Wars, we're really into all the series that have been coming out. So, we got done with Rebels. We've been keeping up with Ahsoka and the Book of Boba Fett. Not Ahsoka. The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett. The Mandalorian's episodes have been coming out, and we got excited because we saw the Ahsoka series is coming out, and we love the cartoons like Rebels and the Clone Wars, and there's other ones in there that haven't been able to get up to date yet on like Andor and like Bad Batch and all those ones. I don't know if everyone is really into this stuff, but we've been really into it. So we've been watching the series that this little guy's that came from, and on top of other series in the Star Wars universe and the timeline and everything. And I was just like, I need to get it done. I just should get it done. So I started on it. I started getting the head done, and got the mouth, we got the nose, we're starting on the eyes, and the way that they want me to do it is I'm actually creating sockets and like pockets that I will have to sew in, so it looks like there's something that there is a mouth there. There is an actual eye. We will be creating a socket, like a little bowl. Okay. That the safety eye will be set in, and then crochet or sew it into the eye socket. Okay. So that as we're stuffing it, it will actually look like it's inside and popping through. Yeah. Instead of being placed on the outside. Yeah. Like a traditional safety eye would. It's being placed on the inside like an eye actually is. Yeah. So that's how the construction of this is. Now, you might be, and even the way that they had me do the cheeks, like you can see the definition of like even how poofy these came out because of the way that they had me do it. It's great. But they had me do this dome. And this is the portion that I really want to share with you guys before I just pushed through and got it all done. This dome is for the neck. I'm sorry if my eyes are not instantly going to the right spot on the camera for you guys, but you got this little nub that they wanted me to create when I was finishing up the body. You were supposed to make one as well for the head. The idea is they're to complement each other so that as, and this, the head will poof out and sit more properly on this construction as, I obviously stuff it and stuff. But the way that this works is the way that it is placed, I am able to sew just the top of it on so that it will have the ability to kind of turn just enough to make it look like it's actually on. Yeah. And it is a neck. So I have to be, before I even fully stuff it, I will have to have that much already done. But that requires the pocket for the mouth and the eye sockets to be done, and just there's still more to be done before I can even get that far, before I can even start stuffing it. It's just a process. But that's where I'm at. I've gotten this much done since last week, and I've come to terms with the fact that despite the fact that they said to get these size eyes, the fact that I'm even doing it too, from what I remember, a higher scale than what yarn they wanted me to use in the stitches, these eyes are just not going to work. They're huge. And I'm really disappointed. My husband used really good money for this. It was over $20 to buy these. And I know that might seem like it would have been fine, and it would have been, except that was his Christmas money that he used to try to get them to us in time, and then they got delayed and all this stuff. But in comparison, let me have these on the outside even.
Yeah, that's taking up the whole face.
To put this on the inside barely even shows off the safety eye. Yeah. It barely shows off the pupil. Yeah. I was going to do it. I was just going to create a socket, and I could still sew a socket to fit this, sew it on, and we'll just have these obnoxious,
But it's covering the mouth too.
So I could try to make it off center. I don't know. I really could try if I really wanted to make these work. But I'm coming to terms with the fact that these could just be saved for a different project. I could make something this big.
Yeah.
And save these. If I'm really not, like, I just don't want to waste.
I don't think you will waste them.
No, what I'm saying is using these on these.
Yeah. Yeah.
Using these size eyes on a project like this, now that I can see the scale to proportional size of what it's like appliance to the appliance. Like, you don't want a big doorknob on a small door.
Right.
You know, everything needs to be able to match up size, proportion.
Right.
And I don't want to waste them. I feel, despite the fact that this is what I wanted to use them on, I feel like they would be a waste. And so I'm thinking that I don't necessarily not want to not go with safety eyes. I still think I still want safety eyes. But I can get size 20s or size 30s that probably would fit this.
Yeah.
That we could have just gotten from Joann's to begin with. I'm getting so frustrated. And it's like, I would have never known if I had just possibly taken the time to just make the head, because it came separately from the body.
Right.
I really could have seen how big I really needed them to be.
Right.
But because I wanted to have all the supplies with me, I just ordered the eyes that they said I needed. And so, you know, it's not always a bad thing that on that portion of a project, instead of going as the instructions right from the get-go are kind of instructing you to go, like, here, make the jacket first, then make the body first, then make the head. You could choose to just be like, I want to see what size tools or what size, extra supplies I need. By just possibly, like, this took me 3 nights. Like, and if I had really just sat down and not been distracted by the movie or whatever I was watching, I really could have done this in like a couple of hours during the day. This was not hard to do. I really could have just seen. I can't blame myself for all of it. It's just you really trust in what they're trying to relay in a pattern. But I think in the future, if I'm really not positive that the other supplies or the other things that they say to you will need to be able to have the finished product the way that they do, and they're relaying it in their pattern, and I'm questioning the size proportion, I will just take the time I'll make the other things, because I love to just read patterns as they're going, as they are being relayed out to me, and not being told, okay, go to this page and then go back over here and this page. Like, it's just easier to start from page 1 to the end to end. That way I know that I've gotten everything done before this page.
Yeah.
But if I'm not sure, it would have been simple enough to just get this head done and then do the rest of it.
Right.
Even just to this point, I could have just put a marker on it with what next row I was on.
Yeah.
I could have, but I didn't. So, in hindsight, 2020's, hindsight's always 2020. I will really just take the time to just see how the project turns out, to see what I need, instead of trusting solely in why is it that these size eyes are not available standard. If this is a standard pattern.
Right.
Because it was a special order and it was the wrong size. So it stinks, but I'm hoping that by next week I might have a done project of a baby Yoda for my nephew, whose birthday was already several months ago, but hasn't had his party yet. So, and then for his mom, the chicken,
There you
the
go.
rooster.
The rooster.
rooster. And I am hoping to still be able to do some little mini projects of things that we could possibly make together to just have fun and just be able to be like, look it's fun. Look this is supposed to be fun. It's not always supposed to be complicated.
So with that, we're going to give you the scripture of the day, which is, pray about everything, tell God your needs, and don't forget to thank Him for His answers. If you do this, you will experience God's peace. His peace will keep your thoughts and your hearts quiet and at rest. And I just thought that was kind of perfect for this month being, Stitch Away Stress Month. So that's found in Philippians 4, 6, and 7 in the TLB. Not really sure what that version is, but pray about everything, tell God your needs. And don't forget to thank Him for His answers. Always thank God for His answers. He's providing what you need or what you want. It's always nice to say thank you, even if it's in person to person, but especially to God. If you do this, you will experience God's peace. Thank Him and get peace. His peace will keep your thoughts and your hearts quiet and at rest. Just such a nice, joyful, quiet verse. Just straightforward. I just love that. And I just thought, if we could do that for you, then, and this will be in the description area. I always put the scriptures in the description area. If you ever want to copy them down for yourself and keep them in your heart, you've got them, because I do that every time.
I feel like this is very grounding. Psychology, they have the term of when you're in a panic or when your anxiety's high or you're being triggered by something from the past that you don't know how to handle in the moment, or anything that causes your blood pressure to go up and you don't know how to respond in the moment, or you're nervous about how you could respond or what could happen even. Just all the uncertainty. They talk about grounding yourself and the techniques. Like if you physically are breathing heavy and you don't know where you are and you're freaking out, you're supposed to feel the ground underneath your feet. Start looking and cognitively being like, that blanket's red and it has a lot of other colors in it, but it has red in it. I can feel this table. It wants you to engage your other senses so that it can bring you back to where you are.
Yeah.
And there's something about this that feels like humans have figured out how God is interpreting that in His, He has His own way of doing it. Come to me with your problems. Let's figure this out. Mm-hmm. I will give you the answer, and if you really truly accept that answer, peace will come. You will be able to just lay it down and walk away, and it's going to be okay. Yeah. And there's this narrative there that in our own way we have come to terms with this well understood simplicity of God just being able to be like, if you come to me, I'll be able to help you. No matter how small, you'll be able to we'll be able to figure it out, and thank Him for it, being able to just be like, you have that resource. Because it, like I said, it's very stabilizing when you're in it's like you're in a storm, but it's like everything is thrashing you and you're scared that you're going to tip over, or there's going to be too much water to sink you or whatever, or that you feel like, just all the things. An anchor, the storm might be happening, but the anchor gives you some level of stability. Yeah. Several anchors so that your boat is much more likely not to be able to tip over, because now you're stable in different areas and your boat can't be as easily moved. Yeah. Sometimes we can't always stop the storm from happening. Sometimes we can't always run away. Sometimes we can't always sometimes we don't feel like we have the power to say be still. Right. But we also have a God right there that can be like, I still have an answer for you. Yeah. We still have tools. We still have the ability to walk on water.
Yeah.
We have the ability, like we have to think outside the box here, but that requires you not letting the moment dictate your response.
Right.
And it's hard. This is not me claiming that big emotions don't exist. That we aren't succumbed by our human state of being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But there's a level of just pray about everything. There's nothing too small or too big. God wants us to be able to feel that we are able to come to him, because I think that's another thing, is that I know people that think, well, this is too small for him. I should only be talking to such a benign, such a sovereign God about things that truly are worthy of his time if he's going to take time out for me. But he cares about every little thing that could cause us to lack in our ability to exist in the love that he is wanting us to live in.
Right.
He wants us to be able to live in peace and in love. Mm-hmm. And he didn't do everything that he's done for nothing.
Right.
And, God didn't even just go die on the cross for no reason. He wasn't just trying to be like, hey, I'm better than you. Like,
no, that's not God at all.
There is something that the preacher said this last Sunday for Easter that really got to me. It kind of had my mind thinking, because he was explaining that in the moment where Jesus was officially had received the full mantle of fully holding on to all of humanity's sins, and that one moment where God had turned away, that was God's first moment to be able to look at us.
Yeah.
Sin had made it impossible for him to be able to see us.
Oh,
and in that moment, him turning away from the one son that was seeing us and constantly relaying our problems to him, being the ambassador, being that way, he needed Jesus to see us. He was constantly needing Jesus to almost explain how hard it was, or why we would fall, or why this was the way that it was. Not justifying it, just offering that he required Jesus for that.
Right.
Jesus was him and his ability to be there physically.
Right.
There. And when Jesus fully took on the mantle of sin, was God's first ability to finally look our way, but it meant looking away from Jesus.
Yeah.
It came at a cost.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I just realized that can't just be for no reason. Everything matters. And we can't let the devil get in our heads thinking, the small things can't get to us, when it's the pebbles in our shoe that cause the blisters, then cause the infection, then cause the this, that cause the that. Like, gangrene doesn't start but by some small thing that starts decaying over, but it starts small. Like, we have to remember, every illness starts small, every sin starts small, every worry starts with a small thing. Not everything is a sin, but some things just, if we don't want that pebble to snowball into something bigger, it's okay to just give God everything, no matter how big or small it is.
Yes.
Give it to him. Let him know. Let him know you need help. Help is okay.
Yeah.
Whether
he knows you need help already. He's just, but it's for you to ask. It gives something back to him when you ask him for the help.
And that's the whole thing, kind of like even with Jesus being like, listen, I did everything so I could set that banquet out, come to the table, but he can't make us come. He went through all that effort to be able to offer us everything that his sacrifice offers.
Yeah.
But that still requires us to be willing to come receive it.
Yeah.
And that's part of it here too. It's like we have to be willing
Yeah.
to say, I need help, that I have needs that I don't understand, that require answers that I don't feel like I can get. And I'm asking God for that.
Right.
And thanking him that he's even willing to do that with me. And then to be able to experience the peace that comes with the knowledge that only he can give, that only his presence can give, that only his love can give.
Yeah.
That, and being able to have that grounding, being able to have that stability, to be able to be like, I am on solid ground again, because he creates such a foundation that even if you're in the middle of a storm, all of a sudden it doesn't feel like it. All of a sudden you realize that it's just wind and rain, and
Right.
I can just throw an anchor out.
Yeah.
Oh, or if it's really going to be like this and people want to keep making it impossible for me to have my boundaries, I can just walk across this storm and just get out of here, because that's also a reasonable option too. I don't have to stay here. Like there's
Right.
God, there's nothing impossible with him. And there's that thing of like our mental battles sometimes are worse than our physical battles, because sometimes we realize that physically I could just not answer that phone call, or I could just not go to that party, or I could just not do this. Right. If it's really too much, I could choose not to do it. But that decision starts up here.
Right.
And the actions follow.
Right.
And the things that we don't talk about up here influence our actions.
Right.
So we have to be willing to talk. And God does it with prayer, and the need could be met by him having someone come into your life to talk to. Right. You know, prayer can be answered in very different ways. It could be going to have a counselor, a therapist, a pastor, going to have a close friend, family member come up to, coworker that you trust, restoring your marriage, different things where it's like I feel like I'm bridging the gap with this communication that allows me to realize that I'm not alone. That's what the devil wants so desperately for us to believe, is that we are alone, that we're the only one capable of such things, of such worries, that we deserve it. And regardless of whether sin proves, or no matter what makes us feel like we deserve it, God said that we were worth it, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Yep.
It doesn't mean that we don't need to be able to make these changes so that we can live in peace and live in the realization and living in the grounding moment that we can and are able to move on. That regardless of, even to whoever viewer isn't maybe even religious or believe in God, that we still have the right to be able to live, not needing to be mentally caged. Therapy is there. The principles here are found in different ways. Because God loves you and will meet you where you're at. And if that means needing to go to therapy to be able to find these structures, if that's just your start, God cares enough to want you to have that.
Yeah.
He didn't go through everything that he went through to not meet you where you are,
Right.
and to help you where you're at, and wanting to give you these tools. If that means asking for help, if this literally just means go to God, this is what it's asking us to do. But even if it's not that, if that's just the principle of this, is just go get help. Right. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's kind of where I'm reading it as, and it's not that it's not clear. It's asking us to go to God with our needs. But I'm just saying, like, there's proof in this that we are allowed to go ask for help.
Yes.
In general, we don't have to live alone. We live in a world where we have other people. Community is important, communication is important, boundaries are important, being able to be on solid ground is important. And if that's not something you have, regardless of whether you believe in God or not, you're allowed to ask for help, whether it means you reaching out to us, whether that means really being able to pray and create a stronger foundation between you and your relationship with God. However that looks, we want to help you feel and understand that you're not alone, that whether it be I'm going to do something for myself and create things that bring me joy, if that means finding a way to be able to meet your stress by actually going to get help with it through therapy, or doing this. Pray about everything and tell God your needs, and don't forget to thank Him for His answers. If you do this, you will experience God's peace. His peace will keep your thoughts and your heart quiet and at rest. Do that.
Yeah.
I encourage you to just not live in a state of mind where you're not living. You're suffering.
Right.
There's no point in
Right.
that. And we all have our seasons in life where life is hard, but you don't have to go through it alone. God doesn't want that. We don't want that.
Right.
You don't deserve that.
Right.
So if any one of you want to just talk about how your Easter Sunday went, if you do celebrate that holiday, or even have that relationship with God, if it's just needing to feel heard and seen and wanting to be able to reach out through email or even in the messages down below, how you are trying to use the Stitch Away stress month and taking that opportunity to just kind of sit down and reflect as to, while you're doing your hobby, how you want to go about that, or using your hobby as a means to do that. Share that with us, because that's kind of what we're trying to do this month. We're trying to look at verses that tell us that we are not alone, that God wants to help us, whether that is going to Him or seeking counsel, whether that is us just promoting the fact that having a hobby and just being around people is what we need to do. Let's just not be alone. Let's not be without things that give us joy in life. Let's not let stress rule our lives.
Right. Right. That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
We hope, as always, that you had, if you made it to the end of this episode, that you had a good time. We always enjoy filming and being able to kind of
talk with you guys.
Fellowship. It feels like we're talking to friends.
Yes.
And it just feels like a personal diary sometimes, or a motivation of just like, I want to be able to show them what I made. I want to be able to see what they're doing. I just love it so much.
And if you're new, subscribe, like, and comment.
Yeah, we just want it. We're just here as a means to be able to promote a good, positive mental health, to promote finding what that looks like, being able to promote good, healthy hobby habits, and just a place to be able to even just, we live in a town and a part of the world where it's not like everyone's having this national celebration of crocheting or knitting or stuff like it is in a heritage in some places in Europe. Yeah. It's kind of like this. We have to kind of find each other. And so if you're like us and we're just trying to find a community to be able to share our joys in crafting, I hope that you found it with us and that you do want to subscribe and be a part of this little community, friendship, fellowship.
Yeah.
But we have to go. We will see you next week, and I'm hopeful to have Yoda done, and I'm hopeful to maybe have some small projects done. And maybe you'll be able to get a couple more blankets done, or even show off some other things you've been working on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But as always, we love you. We hope that you have a great rest of your day and that you stitch your way
to mental health.